You are here with By the Cover. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Stand by Stephen King. This book was 1,152 pages and took me 4 days to read. I would rate this an 8.5 out of 10. This review will contain spoilers, so if you do not want to hear those, click off now. A synopsis. The book details the collapse of society after a weaponized, highly contagious influenza strain called Captain Trips kills 99.4% of the world's population. As far as my likes with the book, it had a very exciting start. Stephen King didn't start the book with an author trying to write a book. Amazing, Stephen King. Great job. We did end up getting a writer in this book, but it wasn't the main focus of that character's arc, and so it didn't annoy me. I thought Franny and Jess's interaction was very entertaining when she tells him that she is pregnant. I thought the spread of the virus was very well done. This is a masterclass in character work. This is where Stephen King is at his peak in his career. We have on the good guys' side Stu Redman, Franny Goldsmith, Mother Abigail, Tom Cullen, Nick Andrews, Larry Underwood, Glenn Bateman, Ralph Brentner, Susan Stern, Lucy Swan, and the Judge, all very memorable characters. On the bad guys' side, we have people like Randall Flagg, Lloyd Henreid, Trash Can Man, the Rat Man, and the Kid. And then somewhere in the middle we have people like Nadine Cross and Harold Lauder. It is very interesting to see the ambiguity and the development of those complex characters as they go throughout the story. I love the exploration of Nick's backstory and what it was like learning and seeing the world growing up as a deaf mute. Also, reading this after COVID, it really hits differently. A lot of this is not hypothetical. This is how it happened. Seeing loved ones die, the rush to find a solution to cure the disease escaping from a lab, not being able to visit loved ones in the hospital, people getting better and then suddenly taking a turn for the worst. All of these things happened. It makes it that much scarier. This book contains one of my favorite protagonists and antagonists. Tom Cullen being my favorite protagonist, Randall Flagg being my favorite antagonist. Tom is very lovable and innocent, an unlikely hero, and Randall Flagg is an absolute monster of a villain. One portion of this book that I didn't enjoy was when they're trying to reform the government with their committee and reforming society. I thought that portion was very boring. So I really liked when Mother Abigail comes back and she tells most of the people in the committee, you aren't here to form committees, you're here to destroy the Dark Prince. Get a move on, is the gist of what she tells them, which I thought was very fitting. A lot of people didn't like the ending of this book. I love the ending. As far as my dislikes, I still think that Stephen King has a tendency to ramble. That is very apparent here. I think this could have been a 700-page book. That's Stephen King for you. If you're reading his books, especially one of his longest, you have to expect that's going to happen. Adding to the word puke was Glenn Bateman. While he's a charming character, he is very chatty. I think it plays to his character for him to be chatty, but it gets annoying after a while. I thought that Franny's journal entries were completely unrealistic. This lady writes a book's worth of information, if not an entire encyclopedia's worth of information, in her journal entries while they're traveling across the country. I did not like the Trash Can Man and the kids' essay scene. I found that to be a bit disturbing and probably unnecessary to the story. As I already mentioned, I was not big into the politics or the reforming of society, which was about a quarter of the book. It happens in the third quarter. I didn't like the way it was presented, where it was basically just journaling after the fact of what happened in the meeting. It's like a minutes from meeting style or a summary. I didn't like the deep philosophical discussions, mostly from Glenn, about how society functions. To me, it just seemed like lots of conversations and not a lot going on. And another thing I didn't like for being one of my favorite protagonists, Tom Cullen was barely mentioned in the part of the book that I did not enjoy. I think that was a bit unfair to that character, and I would have liked to have seen him in the community more and not just relegated to being at his house. Overall, a very, very enjoyable Stephen King book. I think it is one of his stronger books. I do not think it is perfect, but it is definitely up there, and I think it's worth reading. This is probably the fourth or fifth time that I've read this book. So I've grown up with this book, and I've enjoyed it at different points throughout my lifetime. So that's about it. We'll catch you later.